As a young adult, adrift in life's swirling, chaotic tide, I never imagined that my greatest teachers would walk on four legs. At that time, I thought of my dogs as little more than companions in the simplest sense, like the stuffed animals I clung to as a child, there for comfort when I needed them, stashed away when I didn't. I was blind to the hidden world they carried, a world patiently waiting for me to catch on. They were more than pets, more than silent shadows padding along behind me. They were the key to something I hadn't yet realized was locked. In those early days, I had no inkling that these creatures would be the ones to awaken a quiet revolution within me. My dogs would open hidden doors to patience, lift windows to empathy, and make me see the contours of my heart in a way I never thought possible. They walked beside me along familiar paths that snaked through the woods and the deeper trails winding through my fears and uncertainties. They taught me that their companionship wasn't merely about loyalty, but about presence, a steadfast, grounding presence that anchored me when life became unsteady. The dogs I once thought of as just companions became the most constant, joyful part of my life. There was nothing small or simple about the ways they shared in my journey. Somewhere along those winding paths, in the silences we shared beneath sun-dappled canopies, I realized I was no longer walking alone. This realization was merely the beginning of what they would reveal about my heart, the authentic, layered meaning of partnership and the astonishing power of a bond forged through trust and love. Over time, I came to understand that the journey of living with a dog is as much about our own growth as it is about theirs. Dogs are incredible, perceptive creatures, capable of reading the subtlest shifts in our emotions, sensing the energy we carry, and mirroring the environments we shape for them. To truly connect with a dog, we must be willing to grow alongside them. I remember struggling with patience as a young dog owner. My dog would pull on a leash during every walk, and the frustration would build within me. It wasn't until I learned to see the world through her eyes, recognizing the thrill of scents carried in the wind, the excitement of the world unfurling before her, that I began to adjust my approach. Only then did I learn to walk with her calmly, guiding rather than forcing. We must become the kind of leaders they can trust, the kind of humans they can look to for comfort, guidance, and unwavering support. This book is about those journeys. It's about learning to see the world through your dog's eyes, understanding their unique needs and emotions, and discovering how to lead with compassion. In the following chapters, I will share lessons learned from the many dogs who have shaped my life. Lessons about empathy, patience, and the profound impact of a loving, consistent presence. Like when I worked with Bala, an exceptionally high-energy pit rescue who taught me that the small, steady moments of reassurance were more powerful than any quick fix. Slowly she learned that the world could be a peaceful place. I hope these insights will help you build a bond with your dog that enriches your life. Whether you're working with an anxious, reactive dog or simply hoping to deepen the connection you already share, this book offers practical guidance and heartfelt stories to support you on that path. Together we'll explore the power of mindful walking, the importance of rest, the joy of play, and the art of compassionate leadership, all vital ingredients for helping your dog thrive. Mindful walking teaches your dog to trust your pace. Rest gives them time to process and grow. Play nurtures emotional resilience, and compassionate leadership lays the foundation for lifelong trust. Welcome to this journey. May it be filled with love, understanding, and countless moments of connection.
Chapter 1. Why Your Calm Matters. The storm had come out of nowhere, rolling over the city like an unexpected wave, thunder grumbling across the sky. Sarah tried to focus on the work in front of her, an illustration she had been tinkering with for days. But the persistent boom of thunder outside made her jumpy. Rusty, her 2-year-old mixed breed, felt it too. He paced restlessly, his nails clicking against the hardwood floor, glancing at her with a mixture of anxiety and need. Sarah took a deep breath and put down her stylus. She wanted to comfort Rusty, but her own heart was still racing from the last clap of thunder. "It's okay, Rusty," she said, her voice coming out higher than she intended. She could hear the tension in it, see the way Rusty's ears flicked backward. He kept pacing, his eyes wide, body tense. She remembered the book her neighbor Maya had given her. Something about how a dog mirrors their owner's emotional state. Rusty wasn't just nervous because of the storm. He was reflecting her. It was like the ripples of the storm had started in her chest and found their way to Rusty, amplifying with each moment she stayed anxious. She sighed, her shoulders heavy with the realization. This wasn't the first time Rusty had mirrored her stress, and she feared it wouldn't be the last. But today, she was determined to try something different. Sarah glanced at Rusty, who had curled up in the corner of the room, his eyes wide and wary. She walked over, sitting cross-legged beside him. She tried to remember what Maya had said about grounding herself. Something about being the calm that Rusty needed. It sounded simple, but when your heart was hammering in your chest, it felt anything but. Sarah closed her eyes and took a deep breath in. She focused on the inhale, feeling the air fill her lungs, the way her chest expanded. She held it for a moment and then exhaled slowly, trying to let her body soften. Rusty's eyes were still on her, watching, his body still tight and coiled. She breathed again and then again, trying to feel her heartbeat slow, trying to imagine herself as something steady, like a lighthouse in the storm. Slowly, she could feel her body begin to relax. Her shoulders dropped, the tension releasing from her neck and jaw. She reached out a hand and rested it gently on Rusty's back, feeling the quick rise and fall of his breath. He glanced at her, his eyes still unsure, but he didn't pull away. Sarah kept breathing, letting the rhythm of it fill the quiet between them. It took time, but gradually Rusty's breathing began to slow. His eyes softened, and his body, which had been tight as a coiled spring, began to ease. He let out a long sigh, his head drooping down onto his paws. Sarah felt a small swell of hope, warmth spreading through her chest. Maybe she really could be the calm in his storm. Maybe this was the start of something different. She knew it wasn't going to be perfect. She would get frustrated and Rusty would have bad days. But in this moment, she could feel the possibility that her calm could become his calm, that they could find this place of stillness together. She was learning that her own steadiness wasn't just a gift she gave to herself. It was the key to unlocking Rusty's trust and comfort. Sarah continued to breathe, feeling the quiet between them settle. She looked at Rusty, and for the first time that day, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time: confidence. Not in her ability to fix everything, but in her capacity to be there, fully present, fully herself, in this shared moment of calm. She smiled down at Rusty and whispered, "We're okay." And for the first time, she believed it. The hidden biology of calmness. Our nervous systems are not islands. They are wired to connect and communicate with those around us. This phenomenon is called co-regulation, a wordless dance of nervous systems that occurs between you and your dog. When you are calm, your parasympathetic nervous system sends signals of safety and stability. Your dog, who is highly sensitive to micro-expressions, breath patterns, and energy shifts, absorbs these signals. Their heart rate slows, cortisol levels drop, and their muscles relax. It's an ancient, instinctual connection, one that bypasses intellect and speaks directly to the body. Cortisol, often referred to as the stress hormone, is a major player in this dynamic. Studies show that dogs and their owners can have synchronized cortisol levels, a biological testament to how closely intertwined our lives are. When your stress levels rise, your dogs often do too. Your emotional waves are shared across an invisible tether, connecting you both. The beauty of this connection is that the reverse is also true. When you take a deep breath, ground yourself, and embrace calmness, you help lower not only your own cortisol, but also that of your dog. Calmness becomes a practice of shared healing. Practical mindfulness. How to cultivate calm. The next time you sense your dog becoming reactive, perhaps barking at a passerby or lunging on the leash, pause. Before you react, take 3 deep, steady breaths. Feel your feet on the ground. Let your shoulders drop and exhale tension. In doing so, you shift your energy from reaction to intention. You become the model of calmness that your dog looks to in times of uncertainty. Another powerful tool is visualization. Before beginning a training session, close your eyes for a moment and imagine the outcome you want. See yourself moving through the exercise with patience, and your dog responding positively. Visualizing success sets a calm intention, and this intentional energy is palpable to your dog. They sense your confidence and your commitment, and they are more likely to follow your lead. Mindful breathing is another way to cultivate this calm. Breathing acts as a bridge between the body and the mind, an ever-present tool that both humans and dogs instinctively understand. Practice deep, even breaths when your dog is nearby. Notice how they begin to mirror you. As you breathe deeply, their own tension may begin to release, and they start to relax too. You create a shared space of tranquility, one that transcends words. Calmness is a practice, one that takes time, patience, and commitment. But as you learn to cultivate it within yourself, you will see it reflected in your dog. Together, you can create a bond that is rooted in trust, in presence, and in a shared journey toward balance and joy. Chapter 2. Understanding Canine Emotions. The sun had barely risen when Sarah slipped on her sneakers and grabbed Rusty's leash from the hook by the door. She needed the quiet of early morning. The streets still empty, the air cool and untouched by the rush of the day. Rusty looked up at her, his tail thumping once against the floor, a hesitant hope in his eyes. He always seemed to know when she needed this kind of walk, the kind without destination, just movement and breath. They stepped out into the soft light of dawn, the city still waking up. The quiet offered Sarah a kind of comfort, a space where her mind could breathe without the noise of deadlines and unfinished tasks. Rusty trotted beside her, his ears perked, his gait loose and relaxed. But Sarah felt the weight of something else today, an unease she couldn't shake, a pressure building at the edges of her mind. It was the kind of feeling that had no name, just a heavy sense that something wasn't quite right. They turned a corner, and Rusty's ears flicked back. Sarah followed his gaze and saw another dog approaching, its owner shuffling along, a cup of coffee in hand. It was a black Labrador, its eyes bright, its stride confident. Sarah felt her chest tighten, a small wave of worry passing through her. Rusty had never done well with sudden encounters. His body tensed, his eyes locked on the Labrador, his steps slowing. "It's okay, buddy," Sarah said, her voice unsteady. She tried to breathe deeply, but her own worry was too close, her thoughts already imagining what could happen. Rusty lunging, barking, the embarrassment of trying to pull him away. The leash tightened slightly in her hand, her knuckles pale against the fabric. She felt her heart pick up, and she could see it happen in Rusty. His ears pinned back, his stance lowering, a quiet growl building in his chest. The Labrador passed without incident, the other owner giving her a polite nod. But Sarah's face felt flushed, her shoulders aching with the tension she'd held. Rusty turned back to look at her, his eyes wide, uncertain. In that moment, Sarah saw herself reflected in him, the anxiety, the readiness to react, the way he had mirrored her tension. She sighed, her breath shaky as she knelt down beside Rusty. "I'm sorry, Rusty," she whispered, resting her hand on his back. His fur was warm under her fingers, and she let herself stay there for a moment, feeling the morning quiet settle around them again. She knew that her reactions shaped his, that her worry became his fear. It was a realization that both humbled and frustrated her. She wanted so badly to be the calm he needed, to show him there was nothing to fear. But it was hard to unlearn years of instinct, to not tighten the leash when something startled her, to not let her own thoughts spin out of control. Sarah stood, taking a deep breath, trying to let the tension drain from her shoulders. She started walking again, Rusty beside her, his steps hesitant at first, but soon falling back into rhythm. She focused on her breathing, each inhale and exhale deliberate, trying to let go of what had just happened. Rusty glanced up at her, his ears lifting slightly, and Sarah smiled down at him, her heart softening. "Let's try again," she said, her voice steadier now. She loosened her grip on the leash, letting it rest lightly in her hand. Rusty seemed to relax too, his eyes shifting away from the street ahead and back to her. They walked in silence, the morning unfolding around them, the sun slowly warming the world. Sarah knew this was the work, learning to see herself in Rusty, to understand that his reactions were often just reflections of her own. It wasn't about controlling him, it was about understanding herself. The mirror effect was both a challenge and an opportunity to be better, not just for Rusty, but for herself. She had to learn to be the calm she wanted him to feel, to show him through her own steadiness that the world wasn't as scary as it seemed. The science of emotional contagion. The mirror effect isn't just a poetic idea. It's rooted in the science of emotional contagion. Emotional contagion is the process by which one being picks up and mirrors the emotions of another, and it plays a fundamental role in how your dog experiences the world. Dogs have evolved alongside humans for thousands of years, developing an extraordinary sensitivity to our emotions, not just through our words, but through our body language, tone of voice, and even our scent. When we feel anxious, stressed, or upset, we emit subtle cues, a slight tension in our muscles, a change in our breathing, a shift in our scent. Dogs are attuned to these changes, reading them as if they were an open book. They react to our emotions not because they fully understand our thoughts, but because they sense our state of being. Their nervous systems respond to ours, creating an invisible connection that binds us together. Studies have shown that dogs are capable of recognizing human emotions and can even mirror them. When we experience stress or fear, our bodies release certain pheromones, and our dogs can sense these changes. Their behavior becomes a reflection of our inner state, a testament to the deep bond we share. This connection is part of why dogs are such incredible companions. They feel us, often more deeply than we realize. Mirroring calmness. The way our dogs mirror our emotions can be both a challenge and a gift. When we bring stress, anxiety, or frustration into our interactions, our dogs pick up on it and reflect it back to us. But the opposite is also true. When we bring calmness, patience, and centeredness, our dogs have the chance to align with that energy. Sarah realized this one morning after another difficult walk. She came home, sat on the floor beside Rusty, and simply breathed. She closed her eyes, letting her inhales and exhales slow, her body relaxing against the rhythm. She felt Rusty settle beside her, his body leaning into hers, his breaths eventually matching the pace of her own. It was a moment of stillness that felt like a breakthrough, proof that her calm could be his calm, that they could find this place of peace together. It wasn't always easy, and it wasn't always immediate. There were still moments when Sarah's mind would get the better of her, when Rusty would bark at a passing car, and she would feel the frustration rise in her chest. But she was learning, slowly, to recognize those moments, to pause, to breathe, and to let go of the urge to react. She was learning that her calmness wasn't just for her. It was a gift she gave to Rusty, a way to guide him toward a safer, more comfortable world. Practical exercises for emotional mirroring. To cultivate a more peaceful and connected relationship with your dog, try integrating the following practices into your daily life. 1. Mindful presence. Spend 5 minutes a day simply sitting with your dog in a quiet space. Focus on your breath and your body, noticing how your dog responds as you settle into a state of calmness. This shared quiet time helps both of you sync emotionally. reinforcing your role as a calming influence. 2. Calm reinforcement. During times when your dog is calm, lying quietly or sitting patiently, offer gentle praise or a small treat. Reinforce their calm behavior by matching it with your own calm energy. This positive feedback loop helps your dog associate calmness with positive outcomes. 3. Emotional check-ins. Before interacting with your dog, take a moment to check in with yourself. What emotions are you bringing into this moment? Are you carrying stress, frustration, or worry? Acknowledge whatever you're feeling and take a few deep breaths to recenter yourself. Your emotional clarity will help set the tone for your dog. 4. Grounding walks. During your walks, make an effort to be fully present. Notice your surroundings, your dog's movements, and your own body language. If you sense your dog becoming tense, pause for a moment. Take a deep breath, relax your shoulders, and gently encourage your dog to focus on you. By modeling calmness, you give your dog a pathway back to balance. A partnership rooted in understanding. Your dog is not just your companion. They are a reflection of your inner world. The mirror effect is a powerful reminder that our emotions do not exist in isolation. They ripple out and affect those around us, especially our dogs. By cultivating calmness, practicing emotional awareness, and choosing mindful responses, you create a space where both you and your dog can thrive. As Sarah learned to calm her own inner storms, she saw those changes reflected in Rusty. He began to relax more easily, to trust her more deeply. Their walks became less about managing his reactions and more about exploring together side by side. And while there were still difficult days, there were also moments of profound connection, moments that made all the work worth it. Each day, each moment, is an opportunity to practice calm, to reflect, and to grow together. Chapter 3. The Calm Anchor. How your energy shapes your dog. Sarah had always thought of herself as someone who was fairly calm, but it wasn't until she adopted Rusty that she realized just how much her inner world influenced everything around her. Before Rusty, she could let her mind wander, let her worries and fears spill over the edges, and it wouldn't seem to impact anything but herself. But now, with Rusty by her side, she saw how every ripple of her emotions traveled outward, touching not just herself, but the sensitive, ever-watchful being beside her. One particularly windy afternoon, Sarah took Rusty to the park. The wind made the trees sway and creak, and leaves blew across the path like restless dancers. She could feel Rusty's anxiety in every hesitant step. His ears twitched, his eyes darting, as if he expected something to jump out at them at any moment. Sarah held his leash loosely, but she could feel her own breath quicken, her body unconsciously tensing in response to Rusty's wariness. She could see his reactions, but she also saw herself in them, her own lack of centeredness, her own sense of being pulled by unseen forces. Maya had told her once that to help Rusty feel grounded, Sarah had to become the anchor. He needs to know that you're solid, that you're steady, Maya had said. If he feels like you're calm, he'll start to believe that there's nothing to fear. The words stuck with her, but putting them into practice was harder than she imagined. In those moments when Rusty tensed, Sarah could feel the old habits rising up, the instinct to pull him away from anything uncertain, to react with the same anxiety she saw in him. But today, she was determined to do it differently. She paused on the path, feeling the wind pull at her hair, watching the leaves swirl. Rusty stopped too, his body still tight, his ears perked. Sarah knelt beside him, her hand resting gently on his side, and closed her eyes. She took a slow, deep breath, feeling the air move in and out, letting it expand her lungs, letting it calm her racing heart. She imagined herself as a tree, her roots digging deep into the earth beneath her, holding her steady despite the gusts of wind. She exhaled slowly, letting her body relax, letting her own sense of steadiness grow. Rusty glanced at her, his ears flicking, his body still tense but watching her closely. Sarah breathed again, this time making sure it was slow, deliberate. She imagined the calm she wanted to give him, the sense that everything was okay, that the wind was just wind and the world was still safe. She felt her shoulders drop, her muscles soften, and she opened her eyes, meeting Rusty's gaze. His eyes seemed a little less wide now, a little more curious than afraid. He took a step closer to her, his body leaning into hers. Sarah smiled and gave him a soft scratch behind the ears. "It's okay, buddy," she whispered. She stood slowly, making sure her movements were fluid, unhurried. She started walking again, her steps deliberate, each footfall a reminder of her intention. To be grounded, to be the calm Rusty needed. The wind still blew, the leaves still danced, but something had shifted. Rusty was no longer darting his gaze around, his steps more relaxed as he followed her lead. Sarah knew this was what it meant to be the anchor, to hold steady even when the world around them seemed chaotic. It was about being fully present, about letting Rusty feel her calmness and trust it enough to let go of his own fear. It was a practice, and she knew she wouldn't always get it right. There would be days when her own worries would take over, days when she would forget to breathe, forget to center herself. But today she had found that steadiness, and she could see how much it mattered. Why your presence matters. Your presence is more than just being physically there with your dog. It's about the energy you bring into each moment, the calm or chaos that you project. Dogs are incredibly attuned to our emotional states, more so than we often realize. They pick up on our tension, our joy, our stress, our peace. When you are grounded and centered, you project an energy that helps your dog feel secure. When you're scattered or anxious, your dog feels that too and may respond with hyperactivity, nervousness, or even fear. Think of the times when your dog has been anxious, maybe startled by a loud noise or nervous around new people. If you were able to stay calm, to breathe deeply, to move slowly and confidently, you probably noticed that your dog started to relax more quickly. But if you were tense, if your body language showed fear or hesitation, your dog likely mirrored that tension. This is why grounding yourself is such a powerful tool. Your energy sets the tone for your dog, and by learning to manage your own internal state, you can help your dog find their calm. Cultivating groundedness and presence. Groundedness starts with being aware of your own body and your connection to the present moment. Imagine yourself as a tree, with deep roots extending into the earth, providing stability. When you feel ungrounded, perhaps during a stressful moment with your dog, take a moment to pause. Feel your feet firmly on the ground. Visualize your body as strong and steady, like that tree. Breathe deeply, letting each inhale and exhale bring you back to center. The more grounded you are, the more you can offer that same steadiness to your dog. A simple practice to cultivate presence is mindful breathing. Your breath is always with you, an anchor that can bring you back to the present whenever you feel overwhelmed or scattered. When your dog is feeling anxious or reactive, pause and take 3 deep, slow breaths. Inhale deeply through your nose. Hold for a moment, and exhale slowly through your mouth. Feel your shoulders drop and your body soften. Your dog will notice these subtle changes, the slowing of your breath, the relaxation of your posture, and they will begin to reflect that calmness. Embodying calm leadership. To be the calm anchor your dog needs, it is essential to embody the qualities of a confident, steady leader. Dogs naturally look for leadership, and when they find it in you, they feel safer and more secure. But this leadership is not about dominance or control. It's about providing guidance through your calm energy. Leadership, in this sense, is about showing your dog that no matter what happens, you are there to guide them through it. Consider your posture and body language when interacting with your dog. Are you tense? Are your shoulders raised? Or are you leaning forward as if in anticipation? These small cues communicate a lot to your dog. To project calmness, stand tall but relaxed. Let your shoulders drop and keep your movements slow and deliberate. Imagine that everything you do, whether it's putting on your dog's leash, giving a command, or simply walking, carries with it an energy of calm intention. When your dog sees this steadiness in you, they feel reassured. The power of the mindful pause. One of the most effective ways to be a calm anchor is to practice what I call the mindful pause. The next time you find yourself in a challenging situation, perhaps your dog is barking at a passerby, or they are overly excited, pause. Before reacting, take a breath. Notice what you are feeling in your body and in your mind. Are you frustrated, anxious, excited? Acknowledge whatever it is you are feeling and then let it go. From this place of presence, respond to your dog. This pause creates a space between stimulus and reaction, allowing you to choose a response that is grounded and intentional rather than automatic and reactive. The mindful pause is a simple but powerful tool. It allows you to be proactive rather than reactive. Instead of getting caught up in the moment's intensity, you are choosing to slow down, ground yourself, and respond from a place of calm. This practice not only helps you maintain your own emotional balance, but also helps your dog learn to trust your guidance, even in challenging moments. Being fully present. Your dog can tell when you are fully present and when your mind is elsewhere. They know when your focus is on them versus when you are distracted or hurried. The difference between a dog who feels connected and a dog who feels insecure often lies in the quality of your attention. To build a deep connection with your dog, make an effort to be fully present during your interactions. When you are playing, training, or simply spending time with your dog, put aside distractions and give them your undivided attention. Make eye contact, speak gently, and notice the small ways they respond to you. Being fully present means setting aside the stresses of the day, letting go of the to-do lists, and simply being with your dog. It means noticing their body language, the way they wag their tail, or the way their ears move in response to your voice. This kind of presence creates a bond built on trust, a relationship that grows stronger because your dog knows that when they need you, you are there, not just physically, but emotionally. A calm anchor in your dog's world. To be the calm anchor your dog needs is not about perfection, it's about presence. It's about making a conscious choice moment by moment to ground yourself, to bring your awareness back to the present, and to guide your dog with calm confidence. It's about recognizing that your dog's well-being is deeply connected to your own, that in calming yourself, you calm them, and in grounding yourself, you provide the stability they need. As Sarah practiced these techniques, she began to see a shift, not only in Rusty's behavior, but also in herself. She felt more centered, more patient, and more connected. She became the steady presence that Rusty looked to when the world became overwhelming. And together they created a shared sense of calm, a partnership rooted in trust, presence, and understanding. Chapter 4. Mindful Breathing. How your breath can soothe your dog's anxieties. The first time Sarah tried mindful breathing with Rusty, it felt strange. Sitting cross-legged on the living room floor, she closed her eyes, took a slow breath in, and then exhaled with as much calmness as she could muster. Rusty lay in front of her, his eyes fixed on her face, his ears twitching. He didn't seem particularly soothed. If anything, he looked confused. But Sarah kept at it, focusing on her own breath, letting it flow in and out, hoping her calmness would become his. She had read about how powerful breath could be, how it acted as a bridge between the body and the mind. Maya had told her once, when you breathe deeply, you're not just calming yourself, you're sending a signal to everyone around you, even to Rusty. Sarah hadn't fully understood it then, but she was starting to. The more she practiced, the more she noticed that Rusty's energy seemed to mirror hers. When she was hurried or stressed, he was restless. When she slowed down, he began to slow down too. One late afternoon, after a particularly chaotic day at work, Sarah came home with her mind still spinning. Emails left unanswered, designs unfinished. The weight of too many expectations. She could feel her stress rolling off her in waves, and she saw the effect immediately. Rusty, who had been lying by the door waiting for her, jumped up as she entered. His tail wagged, but there was an anxious edge to it, a nervous energy that mirrored the tension she carried. Sarah knelt down beside him, rubbing his ears absent-mindedly. She knew she needed to let go of her day's stress before it spilled over into her evening with Rusty. She took a deep breath, then another, trying to let the air fill her lungs and release her tension. She sat down on the floor beside Rusty and closed her eyes. One hand rested on his back, feeling the quick rise and fall of his breath. She began to breathe deeply, slowly, letting the rhythm take over, letting each exhale carry away a piece of the stress she had been holding on to. Rusty watched her at first, his ears twitching, his eyes following her face. But slowly, Sarah felt his body start to relax. His breathing, which had been quick and shallow, began to slow, matching the steady rhythm of her own. She could feel him settle against her, his muscles softening, the tension easing from his frame. It was like watching a wave recede, the anxious energy draining away, leaving behind only calm. Sarah kept breathing, focusing on the sound of her breath, the way her body felt more grounded with each inhale. She could feel her own heart rate slowing, her mind becoming clearer, more present. Rusty let out a long sigh and rested his head on her knee. A small smile tugged at Sarah's lips as she opened her eyes, looking down at him. It wasn't magic. It was something simpler and more profound. She was learning that her breath was a tool, a way to bring them both back to the present moment, to remind them both that they were safe, that there was no need to rush or worry. The biology of breath. Our breath is intricately linked to our nervous system. When we are stressed or anxious, our breath becomes shallow and rapid, signaling the body to stay in a heightened state of alertness. This activates the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight response that prepares us to face danger. Dogs, with their acute senses, are experts at picking up on these changes. They read the tension in our breathing and interpret it as a sign that something is wrong. On the other hand, slow, deep breaths activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest state. This system calms the body, reduces the heart rate, and releases tension. When you practice deep breathing around your dog, you send a clear nonverbal signal that everything is safe and that there is no need to worry. Your dog, attuned to your every nuance, will begin to mirror this state of calmness. It's a way of speaking to your dog that goes beyond words, a language of breath and presence, breathing as a tool for calmness. Consider a moment when your dog is anxious, perhaps during a thunderstorm or when encountering something unfamiliar. In those moments, the most powerful thing you can do is focus on your breath. Instead of reacting to your dog's anxiety with your own tension, choose to breathe deeply and slowly. Inhale through your nose, letting the air fill your lungs completely, and then exhale gently through your mouth. As you breathe, let your body relax and feel the tension release. Your calm breathing provides a model for your dog, showing them how to settle. The sound of your slow, steady breaths, combined with the relaxed energy you project, becomes an anchor that your dog can hold on to when they feel adrift in a sea of anxiety. This practice of shared calmness is incredibly powerful because it bypasses words and taps directly into your dog's instinctual need for safety and reassurance. Creating a shared space of calmness. To deepen your connection with your dog, try practicing mindful breathing together in a quiet, comfortable space. Sit or lie down next to your dog. Close your eyes, take a deep breath in, and let it out slowly. Place your hand gently on your dog's side, feeling the rise and fall of their breath. Focus on your own breathing and notice how your dog begins to respond. They may begin to match your rhythm, or you may notice their muscles start to relax. This shared breathing practice creates a powerful sense of unity and a deep feeling of calm that both you and your dog can draw from. Breathing exercises can also be incorporated into everyday routines. For example, before a walk, take a moment to breathe deeply with your dog beside you. This practice sets the tone for the walk, signaling that it is a time of calm exploration rather than excitement or stress. If your dog starts to become reactive or anxious during the walk, pause. Stand still, take a few slow breaths, and encourage your dog to do the same by your example. This pause allows both of you to reset and continue the walk with renewed calmness. Synchronized breathing, a practice for connection. One of the most effective exercises for building a deeper connection is synchronized breathing. Find a quiet space where you and your dog can be comfortable, perhaps at home in your favorite room or outside in a peaceful spot. Sit close to your dog and place one hand gently on their side if they are comfortable with touch. Begin by breathing deeply and evenly, feeling the rhythm of your own breath. As you breathe, pay attention to your dog's breathing pattern. Gradually try to align your breath with theirs. Inhale as they inhale, exhale as they exhale. This practice of synchronizing your breath helps build a profound sense of connection, reminding both you and your dog that you are in this moment together. It is a wordless way of saying, I am here with you, you are not alone. This simple practice can be incredibly calming for both of you, especially in times of stress or uncertainty. Breath as an emotional regulator. Mindful breathing is not only beneficial for your dog, it is also an essential tool for managing your own emotions. When your dog is anxious or reactive, it can be easy to get caught up in their energy and feel overwhelmed. By focusing on your breath, you bring yourself back to center, which allows you to respond from a place of calm rather than reacting out of frustration or anxiety. Imagine your dog is barking at a delivery person and you feel your own tension rising. Instead of pulling on the leash or raising your voice, take a step back and breathe. Let each breath bring you back to a place of calm, reminding yourself that your dog is simply reacting to what they perceive as a threat. Your steady breathing will help your dog feel more secure, and over time, they will learn to look to you for cues on how to respond. Exercises for mindful breathing with your dog. 1. Breath awareness practice. Set aside 5 minutes each day to practice mindful breathing with your dog. Sit in a quiet space, close your eyes, and take slow, deep breaths. Place your hand gently on your dog's side and focus on the rise and fall of their breath. Let your breathing become slow and steady, and notice how your dog begins to relax as they tune into your calm energy. 2. Breathing before reacting. The next time your dog becomes anxious or reactive, use your breath as your first response. Before giving a command or reacting to their behavior, take 3 deep breaths. Feel your own body relax and notice how your energy shifts. Then, approach your dog from this place of calmness, using your breath to guide both of you back to balance. 3. Calm walk breathing. Before heading out on a walk, take a moment to breathe deeply with your dog by your side. Set the intention for a calm, connected walk. If your dog becomes reactive during the walk, stop. Take a few deep breaths and allow your dog to mirror your calmness before continuing. This simple pause can make a significant difference in your dog's behavior. The power of breath in your shared journey. Your breath is a powerful tool, a way to communicate calmness, safety, and reassurance to your dog. It is always with you, available whenever you need it, and it requires no special skills or tools. By incorporating mindful breathing into your interactions with your dog, you create a shared space of calmness that both of you can draw from, especially in challenging moments. As Sarah practiced these breathing exercises, she noticed changes, not just in Rusty, but in herself. She felt more centered, more present, and more capable of guiding Rusty through his anxieties. Her breath became a bridge between her inner world and Rusty's, a reminder that even in moments of chaos, tranquility was only a breath away. In the next chapter, we will explore how to observe your dog's behaviors without judgment, learning to see beyond the surface and to understand their actions as a form of communication. This journey of mindfulness and connection is about more than training. It is about creating a partnership where both you and your dog feel understood, supported, and calm. Chapter 5. Observing without judgment. Understanding your dog's behavior. Sarah found herself watching Rusty closely these days, not just in the way she had before, counting how many times he barked at a passerby or noting the tension in his body, but in a way that felt softer, less charged with expectation. She was learning to observe without immediately rushing to conclusions, to see Rusty's behavior not as good or bad, but as information, a language that was waiting to be understood. One rainy afternoon, Sarah sat by the window, a cup of tea in her hands, as Rusty stood with his nose pressed against the glass, watching the world outside. The street was quiet, the rain drizzling steadily, and Rusty seemed calm, until a car drove by, splashing through a puddle. His body tensed, ears perked, a low growl rumbling in his throat. Sarah felt her initial instinct rise up, a flash of annoyance, a thought that maybe he should know by now that cars weren't a threat. But instead of reacting, she paused, taking a slow breath, and chose to simply observe. She watched the way his muscles shifted, the way his tail lowered slightly, the way his gaze followed the car until it disappeared around the corner. She realized in that moment that Rusty wasn't misbehaving. He was responding to his environment in the only way he knew how. He was trying to understand the world around him, just as she was trying to understand him. It wasn't about being bad or disobedient. It was about communicating, about expressing his uncertainty in the face of something unfamiliar. Sarah put her cup down and moved closer to Rusty, her hand resting gently on his back. She didn't say anything, didn't try to correct or reassure him. She just stood there with him, watching the rain, letting herself feel what he might be feeling. The car was gone, the street quiet again, and she could feel Rusty begin to relax, his ears softening, his stance shifting from alert to calm. She smiled, her fingers brushing through his fur. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. She was learning to let go of her need to label his reactions, to simply be there with him in whatever he was experiencing. The practice of non-judgmental observation. Observing without judgment is a practice of curiosity and empathy. It's about seeing your dog's behavior not through the lens of right or wrong, but through the lens of why. Why does your dog bark when the doorbell rings? Why do they pull on the leash when passing by another dog? Instead of labeling these behaviors as problems, see them as expressions. Expressions of excitement, of fear, of confusion, of instinct. When you approach your dog's behavior with curiosity, you open up the possibility for deeper understanding. You begin to see that their actions are not random, but are often responses to specific stimuli or emotions. A bark at the door isn't just noise. It's a way for your dog to communicate that something unfamiliar is happening, that they are unsure and need guidance. By observing without judgment, you can begin to understand what your dog needs from you in these moments, whether it's reassurance, redirection, or simply your calm presence. Responding versus reacting. One of the most significant shifts that comes from observing without judgment is the ability to respond rather than react. When you react, you often do so from a place of frustration, fear, or habit. It's the raised voice when your dog doesn't listen, the tight grip on the leash when they pull too hard. These reactions are automatic, driven by emotion, and they can often escalate the situation rather than resolve it. Responding, on the other hand, is deliberate. It comes from a place of awareness and understanding. When you observe your dog's behavior without judgment, you create a space between the stimulus and your response, a space where you can choose how to act. Instead of pulling Rusty away from the window, when he growled at the car, Sarah chose to stand with him, to let him feel her presence without adding her own tension to the moment. In doing so, she showed Rusty that there was nothing to fear, that she was there to guide him through his uncertainty. The importance of perspective. Imagine for a moment what the world must look like from your dog's perspective. They don't have the same context or understanding that we do. A car speeding down the street is loud, sudden, unpredictable. It might seem like a threat. The doorbell ringing could signal the arrival of someone unfamiliar, someone who might disrupt the safety of the home. Every sound, every movement, every change in the environment carries meaning for your dog, and their reactions are their way of trying to make sense of it all. By putting yourself in your dog's shoes or paws, you can begin to see their behaviors as valid responses to the stimuli around them. You can start to understand why they might feel the need to bark, to pull, to growl. This perspective doesn't excuse the behavior, but it helps you approach it with empathy. It helps you guide your dog in a way that feels supportive rather than punitive, in a way that builds trust rather than fear. Exercises for practicing non-judgmental observation. 1. Observation journal. Set aside time each day to observe your dog without interacting. Simply watch them for 5 minutes, noting their body language, their expressions, their movements. Write down what you see and resist the urge to label the behavior as good or bad. Instead, describe it in neutral terms. Rusty barked when he heard a noise outside. Rusty lay down and sighed when I sat beside him. Over time, this practice will help you become more attuned to your dog's subtle cues and will deepen your understanding of their behavior. 2. Pause before responding. The next time your dog does something that triggers an emotional reaction in you, such as barking, pulling, or ignoring a command, pause. Take a deep breath and observe what is happening without judgment. What is your dog feeling in this moment? What might they be reacting to? This pause allows you to respond from a place of calm rather than reacting out of frustration. 3. Reflect on triggers. Identify common triggers for your dog's behavior, things like loud noises, other dogs, or changes in routine. Once you've identified these triggers, observe how your dog responds to them. What do they do? How do they communicate their discomfort or excitement? Understanding these triggers will help you anticipate your dog's needs and respond in a way that feels supportive. Building a relationship. Based on understanding. Observing without judgment is a powerful way to build a deeper, more compassionate relationship with your dog. It allows you to see beyond the surface of their actions and understand the motivations and emotions driving their behavior. This understanding helps you become a better guide for your dog, someone who sees their needs, respects their feelings, and helps them navigate the world with confidence. Sarah found that the more she practiced observing Rusty without judgment, the more she felt connected to him. She began to notice the small changes in his behavior, the way his ears would perk up when he heard her footsteps, the way his tail would wag softly when she spoke to him in a gentle tone. These moments of observation helped her see Rusty not as a problem to be solved, but as a living being with his own fears, his own joys, his own way of understanding the world. And in turn, Rusty began to trust her more deeply. He could feel the difference in her energy, the shift from tension to curiosity, from frustration to empathy. He began to look to her for guidance, to relax more quickly when she was near. Their walks became less about managing his reactions and more about exploring together side by side. Each day, each moment of observation brought them closer, deepening their bond in a way that words could never fully capture. The power of compassionate awareness. The journey of observing without judgment is not about perfection. There will still be moments of frustration, times when your dog does something that challenges your patience. But each time you choose to pause, to breathe, and to observe with curiosity, you're taking a step toward deeper understanding and connection. You're showing your dog that you see them, that you hear them, that their feelings matter. Your dog is constantly communicating with you through their body language, their behavior, their eyes. By observing without judgment, you open yourself to this communication, to the rich, complex language that goes beyond words. You begin to understand your dog not just as a pet, but as a partner in this shared journey of life. In the next chapter, we will explore the importance of setting boundaries with love, learning how to provide structure and guidance in a way that supports your dog's growth and well-being. Together, we will continue this journey of mindfulness and connection, building a relationship that is rooted in trust, respect, and compassion. Chapter 6. Boundaries with Love. Guiding your dog with compassion. When Sarah first adopted Rusty, she thought that love alone would be enough to guide him. She wanted him to feel free, to enjoy his new home, to know that he was loved unconditionally. But as the days turned into weeks, she began to realize that love without boundaries wasn't enough. Rusty was still anxious, still reactive, still unsure of his place in the world. He needed more than love. He needed structure, guidance, and clear boundaries that could help him feel safe. One afternoon, Sarah sat with Maya over a cup of tea, the late afternoon sun filtering through the kitchen window. "Boundaries aren't about control," Maya said gently, her eyes meeting Sarah's. "They're about creating a space where Rusty can relax, where he knows what to expect and where he feels supported. It's about giving him the kind of love that makes him feel secure." Sarah took those words to heart, and she began to rethink the way she approached her relationship with Rusty. She started to see boundaries not as restrictions, but as acts of love, as a way to help Rusty understand the world around him and his place within it. It wasn't always easy, and there were times when she worried that she was being too firm or that Rusty might think she was upset with him. But the more she practiced setting boundaries with kindness and consistency, the more she saw Rusty begin to relax, to trust, to find comfort in the predictability that those boundaries provided. The importance of loving boundaries. Boundaries are not about control or dominance. They are about creating a safe and predictable environment for your dog. Dogs, like humans, need to know where the limits are in order to feel secure. Without boundaries, the world can feel overwhelming, chaotic, and uncertain. Boundaries give your dog a sense of stability, a framework that helps them understand what is expected of them and how they fit into your shared life. When boundaries are set with love and consistency, they become a source of comfort for your dog. They learn that certain behaviors are not allowed, not because you are angry or upset, but because those behaviors are unsafe or unhelpful. Boundaries help your dog navigate the complexities of the human world, and they help you build a relationship based on trust and mutual respect. Setting boundaries with compassion. The first step in setting boundaries is to approach them from a place of empathy and understanding. It's important to remember that your dog is not trying to be bad or disobedient. They are simply acting on instinct, trying to understand the world in the best way they know how. When you set a boundary, do so with the intention of guiding your dog, not punishing them. Your goal is to help them learn, to provide them with the tools they need to succeed. Sarah began by setting small, clear boundaries for Rusty. One of the first boundaries she established was around jumping on guests. Rusty, in his excitement, would often jump up on people as soon as they walked through the door. Sarah knew that this behavior was driven by his desire to connect, but she also knew that it wasn't safe or comfortable for everyone. So she started working with Rusty, teaching him to sit when guests arrived instead of jumping. Whenever someone came to the door, Sarah would ask Rusty to sit, her voice calm and steady. If he jumped, she would gently redirect him, guiding him back to a seated position. It took time, and there were moments of frustration, but she stayed consistent. She didn't raise her voice or express anger. She simply repeated the request, showing Rusty what she wanted from him, and rewarding him when he got it right. Gradually, Rusty began to understand. He started sitting when the doorbell rang, looking to Sarah for guidance. The boundary was clear, and Rusty found comfort in knowing what was expected of him. Consistency is key. One of the most important aspects of setting boundaries is consistency. Dogs thrive on routine and predictability. They feel safest when they know what to expect. When you set a boundary, it's crucial to enforce it consistently. If you allow your dog to jump on guests one day but not the next, they will become confused, unsure of what the boundary actually is. This inconsistency can lead to anxiety and frustration, both for you and your dog. Sarah learned this lesson firsthand. There were times when she was tired, when she just wanted to let things slide, when it felt easier to let Rusty do what he wanted, rather than enforcing the rules she had set. But she quickly realized that every time she did this, Rusty became more confused, more unsure of what was allowed and what wasn't. It wasn't fair to him, and it wasn't helping him feel secure. So, she made a commitment to herself and to Rusty, to be consistent, to follow through even when it was difficult. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. There will always be moments when things don't go according to plan. But the more you can stick to the boundaries you set, the more your dog will learn to trust those boundaries and find comfort in them. Rusty began to relax more when he knew what was expected of him, and Sarah found that the structure they were building together made their relationship stronger and more connected. Boundaries as a form of love. Setting boundaries is an act of love. It's about providing your dog with the structure they need to feel safe and confident in the world. It's about guiding them, helping them learn how to navigate the complexities of life with humans. Boundaries are not about punishment. They are about support, about creating an environment where your dog knows what to expect and can thrive. Sarah found that the more she approached boundaries from a place of love, the more Rusty responded positively. She learned to set limits without anger, to guide without force. When Rusty pulled on the leash during their walks, she didn't yank him back or scold him. Instead, she paused, waiting for him to return his focus to her. She rewarded him when he walked beside her calmly, showing him that staying close brought good things. It was a gentle, patient process, and it required her to stay present, to let go of her frustration and focus on the progress they were making together. Rusty began to understand that the boundaries Sarah set were not there to control him, but to help him. He learned that when he stayed within those boundaries, he felt more secure, more connected to Sarah. Their walks became less about managing his behavior and more about exploring together, a shared journey where both of them knew what to expect. Practical tips for setting boundaries. 1. Start small. Begin by setting 1 or 2 clear boundaries for your dog. Focus on behaviors that are most important for their safety and well-being, such as sitting before crossing the street or not jumping on guests. Once your dog understands these boundaries, you can gradually add more. 2. Use positive reinforcement. When your dog respects a boundary, reward them with praise, treats, or affection. Positive reinforcement helps your dog understand that following the rules leads to good things. This approach builds trust and makes the learning process enjoyable for both of you. 3. Stay calm and consistent. When enforcing boundaries, keep your voice calm and your actions steady. Avoid raising your voice or reacting out of frustration. Consistency is key. Enforce the boundary every time, and make sure everyone in your household does the same. This helps your dog understand what is expected of them. 4. Be patient. Learning takes time, and there will be setbacks. Be patient with your dog and with yourself. Remember that each step forward is progress, even if it feels slow. Celebrate the small victories and use setbacks as opportunities to learn and grow together. Building trust through boundaries. The process of setting boundaries with love is one that builds trust and deepens the bond between you and your dog. It shows your dog that you're there to guide them, that you have their best interests at heart, and that they can rely on you to provide a safe and predictable environment. Boundaries help your dog understand their place in your home and in your life, giving them the confidence they need to navigate the world with ease. Sarah could see the changes in Rusty as they worked together. He no longer jumped on guests, no longer pulled as much on the leash, no longer seemed as anxious when things didn't go as expected. He looked to her for guidance, trusted her to lead the way, and Sarah, in turn, felt more confident in her role as his guardian. She knew that the boundaries she set were helping Rusty feel loved, safe, and secure. Setting boundaries is not about control. It's about creating a partnership where both you and your dog know what to expect and can thrive. It's about building a relationship based on trust, respect, and mutual understanding. As you continue on this journey, remember that every boundary you set with love is a step toward a deeper connection, a stronger bond, and a more joyful life together. In the next chapter, we will explore the power of play, how to use play as a way to strengthen your bond with your dog, reduce stress, and create moments of pure joy. Play is an essential part of your dog's well-being, and it is also a beautiful way to connect, to laugh, and to enjoy each other's company in the most natural way possible. Chapter 7. The Power of Play, Strengthening Your Bond Through Joy. Sarah always knew that Rusty loved to play, but it wasn't until she truly embraced the idea of play as a powerful form of connection that she began to understand just how transformative those moments could be. It wasn't just about burning energy or keeping Rusty entertained. It was about building trust, creating joy and deepening the bond they shared. One warm Saturday morning, Sarah decided to take Rusty to the park with a brand new toy she had bought for him. It was a brightly colored tug rope, and she could see the excitement in Rusty's eyes as soon as she pulled it out of her bag. His tail wagged furiously, his body vibrating with anticipation. Sarah couldn't help but smile, feeling her own excitement rise to match his. They found a quiet spot under a large oak tree, the shade providing some relief from the sun. Rusty circled around her, his eyes locked on the rope in her hand. Sarah knelt down, holding one end of the rope out to him, her eyes meeting his. "Ready, buddy?" she asked, her voice light and playful. Rusty lunged forward, grabbing the other end of the rope with his teeth, his tail still wagging wildly. As they tugged back and forth, Sarah could feel herself letting go of the worries that had been clinging to her. The work deadlines, the errands she still needed to run, the small anxieties that seemed to follow her everywhere. In that moment, it was just her and Rusty, the two of them fully immersed in the game, in the give and take of the tug. She laughed as Rusty gave a particularly strong pull, nearly knocking her off balance. His eyes were bright, his body full of life, and Sarah felt a surge of pure joy. She realized that play wasn't just something they did for fun. It was a way to communicate, to express love, to share in each other's happiness. Through play, Rusty learned that Sarah was someone he could trust, someone who would be there with him in moments of joy, just as much as in moments of calm. And Sarah learned that play was a way to see the world through Rusty's eyes, a world where each moment was an opportunity for connection, for laughter, for love. Why play matters. Play is an essential part of your dog's well-being. It is not just a way to burn off energy, it is a powerful tool for reducing stress, building trust, and creating a deeper bond between you and your dog. When you engage in play, you are speaking your dog's language, meeting them in a space where they feel most comfortable and joyful. Play allows your dog to express their natural instincts, chasing, tugging, running, in a safe and positive way. For dogs like Rusty, who have experienced anxiety or uncertainty, play can be a transformative experience. It helps to release pent-up energy, reduces feelings of stress, and provides an outlet for their emotions. More than that, play is a way for your dog to connect with you, to see you not just as a source of rules and boundaries, but as a partner in fun, as someone who shares in their joy. Play also acts as an emotional buffer for dogs, creating a space where learning can occur even in situations that might otherwise be overwhelming. When a dog is anxious or stressed, their ability to learn diminishes. Their focus is on survival, not on processing new information. But during play, when a dog feels safe, relaxed, and happy, they are far more open to learning. Play allows you to introduce new concepts and commands in a low-pressure environment, making it easier for your dog to absorb and understand. It turns moments that might have been stressful into opportunities for growth, as the positive emotions associated with play help to counterbalance any underlying anxieties. Types of play and their benefits. 1. Tug of war. Tugging games, like the one Sarah played with Rusty, are a great way to build trust and connection. Tug of war is a cooperative game. It's about working together, taking turns, and respecting each other's strength. When you play tug with your dog, make sure to let them win sometimes. This builds their confidence and makes the game more enjoyable for them. Always play gently and use a cue like "let go" to teach your dog when it's time to release the toy. 2. Fetch. Fetch is a classic game that taps into your dog's natural chasing instincts. It's also a great way to practice recall as your dog learns to bring the toy back to you. Sarah found that playing fetch with Rusty was a wonderful way to help him burn off energy on days when he seemed particularly restless. It also provided opportunities to practice commands like sit and drop it in a fun and engaging context. 3. Hide and seek. Hide and seek is a fantastic game for stimulating your dog's mind and building their focus on you. Sarah began playing hide and seek with Rusty by hiding behind trees in the park or around corners in the house. She would call his name, and Rusty would come running, his nose sniffing the air until he found her. The excitement in his eyes when he discovered her was always worth the effort. It was a game that reminded Rusty that finding Sarah was always a good thing. 4. Chase. Some dogs love a good game of chase, and Rusty was no exception. Sarah would run a short distance away, calling Rusty to come after her. His joyful bark and the way he sprinted toward her with all his might always brought a smile to her face. This kind of play is not only a great physical exercise, but also an opportunity to reinforce recall and build a stronger bond through shared excitement. Using play to build trust and facilitate learning. For dogs who struggle with anxiety or fear, play can be an incredible way to build trust. When you play with your dog, you show them that you are a source of fun and joy, not just rules and discipline. You become someone they can rely on for positive experiences, someone who brings lightness and happiness into their life. Sarah noticed that Rusty was more relaxed after their play sessions. He would lie down beside her, his breathing steady, his eyes soft. The play had allowed him to release his energy in a positive way, to feel connected to Sarah, to experience the joy of being fully present in the moment. It was during these times, when Rusty was relaxed and content, that Sarah felt their bond the most, a quiet, unspoken connection that came from sharing in each other's joy. Play also provided opportunities for Sarah to reinforce boundaries in a positive way. During tug of war, she practiced the let go command, rewarding Rusty with praise and another round of tug when he obeyed. During fetch, she reinforced sit before throwing the ball, teaching Rusty that calm behavior led to more fun. These moments of play became moments of learning, moments where Rusty understood that listening to Sarah led to good things. When Rusty was stressed or overwhelmed, Sarah found that introducing play helped to shift his emotional state, creating a buffer that allowed him to approach challenging situations with a more open mindset. For example, when practicing commands that Rusty found difficult, Sarah would incorporate short play breaks, using a game of fetch or tug to keep the mood light and positive. These playful interludes helped Rusty stay engaged and prevented him from becoming frustrated or anxious. The positive emotions generated through play made it easier for Rusty to absorb new information and build positive associations with the training process. Creating moments of pure joy. Life can be busy and it's easy to get caught up in the routines and responsibilities that fill each day. But taking time to play with your dog is a reminder of the simple joys that exist in every moment. It's a chance to let go of stress, to laugh, to move, to be fully present. When you play with your dog, you're creating moments of pure joy for them and for yourself. Sarah found that her time playing with Rusty was often the highlight of her day. It was a time when she could let go of her worries, when she could be fully in the moment, when she could share in Rusty's unfiltered happiness. She learned to cherish these moments, to see them not as something extra or frivolous, but as an essential part of their relationship. Through play, she and Rusty were building something beautiful, a bond rooted in trust, joy, and the pure love of being together. Tips for engaging in meaningful play. 1. Make time for play every day. Even if it's just for a few minutes, make play a part of your daily routine. It's a great way to relieve stress for both you and your dog, and it strengthens your bond. Whether it's a quick game of fetch or a playful chase around the yard, these moments matter. 2. Be fully present. When you play with your dog, put away distractions. Turn off your phone, forget about your to-do list, and be fully present. Your dog knows when you are truly engaged, and they will respond to your energy. Being present during play shows your dog that they are important, that this time is just for them. 3. Adapt to your dog's preferences. Not all dogs enjoy the same types of play. Pay attention to what your dog loves. Some may prefer chasing a ball, while others love tugging or playing hide and seek. Adapt your play to suit your dog's personality and energy level, and remember that the goal is to create joy and connection. 4. Use play as a learning opportunity. Incorporate basic commands into your playtime. Ask for a sit before throwing a toy, or practice drop it during a game of tug. These moments of learning are more effective when they are fun and positive, and they help reinforce good behavior in a joyful context. The joy of play is a shared experience. The power of play lies in its ability to bring us back to the present moment, to remind us of the simple joys of being alive. For Sarah and Rusty, play became a way to communicate without words, to express love, to build trust, and to share in each other's happiness. It was a reminder that, no matter what else was happening in their lives, they always had each other, and they always had the joy of play. As you continue your journey with your dog, remember that play is not just a way to pass the time, it is a powerful tool for connection, a way to show your dog that you are there for them, that you share in their joy, that you are their partner in fun and in life. Through play, you can build a bond that is unbreakable, a bond built on love, trust, and the pure, simple joy of being together. In the next chapter, we will explore the importance of rest and relaxation, how to create a peaceful environment for your dog, and how to help them find calm in a world that can sometimes feel overwhelming. Just as play is essential for your dog's well-being, so too is rest, and finding the balance between the two is key to a happy, healthy life. Chapter 8. The Importance of Rest, Finding Calm in an Overstimulating World. After a long walk in the park or a playful game of tug-of-war, Sarah would often find Rusty lying on his favorite spot by the window, his eyes half closed, his breathing slow and steady. It was in these quiet moments that Sarah began to understand just how essential rest was for Rusty's well-being. The excitement of play, the mental stimulation of training, the exploration of new places, all of it was important. But it was the time spent resting that allowed Rusty to fully process, recover, and recharge. Dogs, like humans, need balance. They need moments of excitement and activity, but they also need time to rest, to let their bodies and minds recover. In a world that can often feel overstimulating, full of unfamiliar sights, sounds, and experiences, rest is what allows your dog to find their equilibrium again. It is in rest that they can feel safe, secure, and at peace. The role of rest in your dog's well-being. Rest is not just about sleep. It's about creating a state of calm where your dog can relax fully without feeling the need to be on alert. For dogs like Rusty, who have experienced anxiety or fear, rest can be particularly important. It provides a much-needed break from the constant stimulation of the world, a time when they can let go of their worries and simply be. When dogs are well-rested, they are better able to handle new experiences, learn new skills, and respond calmly to the challenges that come their way. Sarah realized that Rusty's rest was as important as any other part of his training. She began to notice the signs that he needed a break, the way his energy would start to dip, his enthusiasm waning, his eyes growing heavy. She learned to respect those signs, to let Rusty take the time he needed to rest and recover, knowing that it was in those quiet moments that he was truly processing everything they had experienced together. Creating a restful environment. One of the most important things you can do for your dog is to create an environment that supports rest and relaxation. This means providing a comfortable, quiet space where your dog can retreat when they need a break. For Rusty, it was the spot by the window, a soft blanket spread out for him, the gentle light filtering through the curtains. It was his space, a place where he could go whenever he needed to unwind. Sarah made sure that Rusty's resting space was free from distractions. No loud noises, no sudden interruptions. She also made it a point to establish a routine, giving Rusty regular opportunities to rest throughout the day. Just as play and training were scheduled parts of their day, so too was rest. It was a time that Sarah respected, a time when Rusty could relax without any expectations or demands. Creating a restful environment also means being mindful of your own energy. Dogs are incredibly attuned to the emotions and energy of the people around them. If you are stressed, anxious, or constantly on the move, your dog will likely pick up on that energy and find it difficult to relax. Sarah found that her own calmness was key to helping Rusty rest. She would often sit near him, reading a book or simply enjoying the quiet, her own presence helping to reinforce the sense of calm that Rusty needed. The importance of routine. Dogs thrive on routine. It gives them a sense of predictability, a feeling of security that comes from knowing what to expect. Establishing a regular rest routine for your dog can help them feel more relaxed and better able to handle the challenges of the day. Sarah found that by setting aside specific times for Rusty to rest, he became more settled, less anxious, and more able to enjoy their time together. A typical day for Rusty included periods of activity, walks, play, training sessions, followed by designated rest times. After a walk in the morning, Rusty would have a quiet hour by the window, the soft blanket beneath him, the gentle hum of the neighborhood, providing a soothing backdrop. In the afternoon, after a game of fetch in the yard, he would nap in his favorite spot, his body curled up, his breathing slow and steady. These moments of rest were not just about physical recovery, they were also about mental relaxation. Rest allowed Rusty to process everything he had learned, to let go of any lingering stress, and to find his way back to a state of calm. Sarah learned that rest was an essential part of their shared routine, a time that was just as important as play or training. Recognizing the signs of overstimulation. In a world full of constant stimuli, it's easy for dogs to become overstimulated. Loud noises, unfamiliar people, new environments, each of these can add to your dog's stress levels, and without adequate rest, that stress can build up, leading to anxiety and behavioral issues. Learning to recognize the signs of overstimulation is key to helping your dog find balance. Sarah learned to pay close attention to Rusty's body language. When he was overstimulated, she would notice his ears pinned back, his tail held low, his eyes wide and darting. He would become more reactive, barking at small noises or pulling on the leash during walks. These were signs that Rusty needed a break, that he needed time to rest and recover. When Sarah noticed these signs, she would bring Rusty to his quiet space, encouraging him to lie down and relax. She would sit with him, her own presence calm and steady, waiting for him to settle. Sometimes it took a while, Rusty's mind still buzzing with all the stimuli of the day. But eventually he would relax, his body softening, his breathing slowing. These moments of rest were essential, a way for Rusty to release the stress he had been holding onto and find his way back to a state of calm. Rest as a part of the learning process. Rest is not just about recovery, it is also an essential part of the learning process. When dogs rest, they consolidate what they have learned, processing new experiences and reinforcing the connections in their brain. For Rusty, rest was the time when everything he had experienced throughout the day came together, when the commands they had practiced, the games they had played, the new sights and sounds they had encountered, all became part of his understanding of the world. Sarah began to see rest as an opportunity for Rusty to absorb everything they had worked on together. After a training session, she would make sure Rusty had time to rest, to lie down in his favorite spot and let his mind process. She found that when Rusty had adequate rest, he was more focused, more responsive, and more eager to learn during their next session. Rest allowed Rusty to approach each new challenge with a clear mind and a calm heart. Tips for encouraging rest and relaxation. 1. Create a comfortable resting space. Designate a quiet, comfortable area where your dog can rest without distractions. Make sure it's a place they feel safe and secure, somewhere they can retreat to whenever they need a break. 2. Establish a routine. Incorporate regular rest times into your dog's daily schedule. This helps them know what to expect and provides a sense of security. Rest should be a consistent part of your dog's day, just like walks or playtime. 3. Be mindful of your energy. Your dog looks to you for cues on how to feel. If you are calm and relaxed, your dog is more likely to be calm and relaxed as well. During rest times, try to create a peaceful environment by being mindful of your own energy. 4. Limit stimulation when needed. If your dog is showing signs of overstimulation, Reduce the amount of stimuli they are exposed to. Bring them to a quiet area, lower the noise levels, and give them time to settle. Recognizing when your dog needs a break can prevent stress from building up. 5. Encourage rest after activity. After periods of activity like walks, training, or play, give your dog time to rest. This allows them to recover physically and mentally, and it helps to reinforce the positive experiences they've had. Finding balance through rest. The importance of rest cannot be overstated. It is in rest that your dog finds balance, that they recover from the excitement and stimulation of the day, that they process their experiences and learn from them. For Sarah and Rusty, rest became a cherished part of their routine, a time when they could both unwind, let go of the stresses of the day, and simply be in each other's presence. Sarah found that the more she honored Rusty's need for rest, the more balanced and content he became. He was less reactive, more focused, and more joyful in their moments of play and exploration. Rest was not just about sleep. It was about finding calm in an often overwhelming world, about giving Rusty the space he needed to feel secure, to recharge, and to thrive. As you continue your journey with your dog, remember that rest is just as important as play, training, or any other part of your routine. It is in rest that your dog finds the calm they need to navigate the world with confidence. By creating an environment that supports relaxation and by recognizing the importance of rest, you're giving your dog the gift of balance, the gift of peace, and the foundation for a happy, healthy life. In the next chapter, we will explore the concept of mindful walking, how to transform your daily walks into a practice of connection, presence, and mutual understanding. Walking together is one of the most natural ways to bond with your dog, and with a mindful approach, it can become a powerful tool for deepening your relationship. Chapter 9. Mindful Walking. Transforming walks into moments of connection. For Sarah, walking Rusty was initially just another task to check off her daily to-do list. She thought of it as a way to give Rusty the exercise he needed, a chance for him to relieve himself and burn some energy. But as she began to embrace a more mindful approach to her life with Rusty, she realized that their walks were an opportunity for so much more. Walking together could be a practice of presence, a time to connect, and a way to deepen their bond. One crisp autumn morning, Sarah decided to try something different. Instead of rushing through their usual route, her mind already on the tasks ahead for the day, she made a conscious decision to slow down. She focused on each step, the feeling of her feet connecting with the ground, the rhythm of her breathing. She glanced down at Rusty, who was sniffing the air, his tail wagging gently. She smiled, taking a deep breath of the cool morning air. For the first time in a long time, she wasn't walking Rusty just to get it done. She was walking with him, sharing the experience. Rusty seemed to notice the difference too. He wasn't pulling at the leash, wasn't distracted by every noise or movement. Instead, he stayed close to Sarah, his steps matching hers, his eyes occasionally glancing up at her, as if to check in. It was as if, in slowing down, Sarah had given Rusty permission to relax as well. Their walk was no longer about covering a certain distance or following a specific route. It was about being present, about moving together through the world with a sense of calm and connection. The benefits of mindful walking. Walking is one of the most natural activities you can do with your dog, and it has the potential to be deeply rewarding for both of you. When approached mindfully, walks can become a time to practice presence, to strengthen your bond, and to create positive associations for your dog. Mindful walking is about more than just exercise. It's about building trust, reducing stress, and experiencing the world together in a meaningful way. For Rusty, mindful walks made a noticeable difference in his behavior. He became less reactive, more attuned to Sarah, and more relaxed during their walks. The simple act of slowing down, of paying attention to each step, helped both Sarah and Rusty to let go of tension and to truly enjoy their time together. It was no longer about where they were going, but about the experience of getting there. How to practice mindful walking. 1. Set an intention. Before you begin your walk, take a moment to set an intention. This could be as simple as, I will be fully present with my dog, or I will move at a pace that allows us both to relax. Setting an intention helps to create a mindful mindset for the walk, reminding you to stay focused on the present moment and on your connection with your dog. 2. Slow down. One of the simplest ways to bring mindfulness to your walk is to slow down. Instead of rushing, let your pace be comfortable and relaxed. Notice how your body feels with each step, the way your feet connect with the ground, the rhythm of your movement. Slowing down helps to calm your own energy, which in turn helps your dog to feel more at ease. 3. Engage your senses. As you walk, take time to engage your senses. Notice the sights, sounds, and smells around you. Feel the breeze on your skin. Listen to the rustling of leaves. Observe the way the sunlight filters through the trees. By engaging your senses, you bring yourself into the present moment, which helps you to fully experience the walk and to share that presence with your dog. 4. Let your dog lead. Sometimes mindful walking means letting go of control. Allow your dog to take the lead for a while. Let them sniff, explore, and set the pace. Dogs experience the world primarily through their noses, and giving your dog the time to sniff and explore is not only enriching for them, but it also provides mental stimulation that helps to reduce stress. When Rusty paused to sniff a particularly interesting patch of grass, Sarah learned to be patient, to let him take his time, knowing that this was an important part of his experience. 5. Check in with your dog. Throughout the walk, take moments to check in with your dog. Make eye contact, speak to them in a gentle tone, or give them a reassuring touch. These small gestures help to reinforce your connection and remind your dog that you are there with them. Sarah found that when she checked in with Rusty, he would often look up at her, his tail wagging gently as if to say, I see you too. 6. Breathe together. Your breath is a powerful tool for calming both yourself and your dog. As you walk, focus on your breathing. Take slow, deep breaths, and notice how it affects your energy. When Sarah felt herself becoming tense, perhaps at the sight of another dog approaching, she would take a deep breath, letting her body relax. Rusty seemed to pick up on these cues, his own tension easing as he mirrored Sarah's calmness. Turning walks into opportunities for learning. Mindful walking is also an opportunity for learning, both for you and your dog. When you are fully present, you are better able to notice your dog's body language, their reactions to different stimuli, and their emotional state. This awareness allows you to respond in a way that supports your dog, helping them to feel more secure and confident. Sarah began to use their walks as a time to gently expose Rusty to new experiences, always paying attention to his comfort level. If they encountered something unfamiliar, like a loud truck or a group of children running by, she would pause, letting Rusty observe from a distance, speaking to him in a calm, reassuring tone. By staying present and mindful, Sarah was able to help Rusty navigate these situations without becoming overwhelmed. Over time, Rusty grew more confident, more comfortable with the world around him. The emotional connection of walking together. Walking mindfully with your dog is about more than just physical exercise. It is about creating an emotional connection. It is about moving through the world together, side by side, experiencing each moment fully. For Sarah and Rusty, their walks became a time of shared understanding, a time when they could both let go of their worries and simply be. The rhythm of their steps, the quiet moments of connection, the shared experience of exploring the world, it all contributed to a deeper bond, a sense of partnership that went beyond words. Sarah noticed that after their mindful walks, Rusty was more relaxed, more content. He would lie down at her feet when they returned home, his eyes soft, his body at ease. The time they spent walking together wasn't just about exercise. It was about finding calm, about being present, about reinforcing the trust and love that formed the foundation of their relationship. Tips for mindful walking. 1. Leave distractions behind. When you walk with your dog, try to leave behind any distractions. Put away your phone, let go of your to-do list, and focus on the present moment. Your dog will feel the difference when you are truly engaged, and it will make the walk more enjoyable for both of you. 2. Be patient. Mindful walking is not about getting from point A to point B as quickly as possible. It's about the experience of the journey. Be patient with your dog, let them take their time, and remember that the goal is not to complete the walk, but to enjoy it. 3. Use walks as a time for connection. Use your walks as an opportunity to connect with your dog. Talk to them, check in with them, and share in their joy of exploration. These small moments of connection can turn an ordinary walk into something special. 4. Adapt to your dog's needs. Every dog is different, and what works for one may not work for another. Pay attention to your dog's needs. If they seem tired, take a break. If they are eager to explore, let them lead. Mindful walking is about being attuned to your dog and creating an experience that is enjoyable for both of you. 5. Practice gratitude. As you walk, take a moment to feel gratitude for the time you have with your dog. Notice the beauty around you, the joy in your dog's movements, the simple pleasure of being together. Practicing gratitude can help you stay present and make the experience even more meaningful. Walking as a practice of presence. Mindful walking is a practice of presence, a way to turn an everyday activity into something meaningful and enriching. It is an opportunity to slow down, to connect with your dog, and to experience the world together in a way that is calm, joyful, and fully present. For Sarah and Rusty, their walks became a time of peace, a time to let go of the stresses of the day and simply be together. It was in these moments, moving side by side, that they found a deeper connection, a sense of partnership that made everything else seem a little bit easier. As you continue your journey with your dog, remember that every walk is an opportunity to connect, to learn, to be present, and to share in the simple joy of moving through the world together. By approaching your walks mindfully, you can transform them from a routine task into a cherished practice, a time of calm, connection, and love. In the next chapter, we will explore the concept of compassionate leadership, how to guide your dog with empathy, patience, and understanding, and how to build a relationship that is rooted in mutual respect and trust. Leadership is not about control. It is about guidance, support, and creating an environment where your dog can thrive. Chapter 10. Compassionate Leadership, Building a Relationship Rooted in Trust. As Sarah's journey with Rusty continued, she began to realize that true leadership was not about control or exerting dominance. It was about connection, compassion, and a deep understanding of Rusty's needs. Over the months, she had learned that being a leader to Rusty meant guiding him gently through the world, offering support and reassurance, and building a foundation of trust that allowed him to feel safe and confident. Leadership, Sarah discovered, was about being present. It was about being the steady anchor that Rusty needed, someone he could look to in moments of uncertainty. Through mindful walking, play, and rest, Sarah had developed a relationship with Rusty that was based on mutual respect and understanding. She had learned to lead Rusty with empathy, seeing the world through his eyes, recognizing his fears, and celebrating his victories, no matter how small. One of the most important lessons Sarah learned was that leadership is an act of love. It is about setting clear boundaries while also being flexible enough to respond to Rusty's emotional needs. It is about creating an environment where Rusty could learn and grow without fear, where he felt encouraged to explore the world with curiosity rather than anxiety. Leading with compassion to unlock potential. Compassionate leadership begins with empathy. It means understanding that your dog's behavior is a form of communication, a reflection of their feelings and needs. When Rusty would become anxious or reactive, Sarah learned to pause and consider what might be causing his behavior. Instead of reacting with frustration, she responded with patience. She would kneel down beside him, speaking softly, letting him know that she was there and that he was safe. This simple act of acknowledging Rusty's feelings made all the difference. It showed Rusty that Sarah was someone he could trust, someone who would support him through the challenges he faced. It was this trust that formed the basis of their relationship, a trust built not through force or control, but through compassion and consistency. By leading with compassion, Sarah was helping Rusty reach his highest potential, guiding him through fears and uncertainties so that he could develop resilience and confidence. The balance of boundary and flexibility. Being a compassionate leader also means setting boundaries in a way that is loving and respectful. Dogs thrive on routine and predictability, and clear boundaries help them understand what is expected of them. For Rusty, boundaries provided a sense of security. He knew that there were rules, like waiting calmly before going out the door or walking beside Sarah without pulling on the leash. And these rules helped him feel safe. Boundaries are essential for helping a dog reach their highest potential. They provide structure, which allows dogs like Rusty to understand their environment and thrive within it. Boundaries create a sense of stability that helps dogs learn what behaviors lead to positive outcomes, encouraging them to make choices that contribute to their well-being. But compassionate leadership also means knowing when to be flexible. There were times when Rusty needed extra patience, times when he was too overwhelmed to follow a command. In those moments, Sarah learned to let go of her expectations and focus on what Rusty needed most. Whether it was a comforting touch, a moment to pause, or simply her calm presence. This balance of boundaries and flexibility helped Rusty feel supported and understood, reinforcing the bond they shared, while providing Rusty with the confidence to grow and learn at his own pace. Encouraging growth through positive reinforcement. A key aspect of compassionate leadership is encouraging growth through positive reinforcement. By rewarding Rusty for the behaviors she wanted to see, Sarah was able to create positive associations that motivated him to keep learning and growing. When Rusty faced something unfamiliar, like a noisy street or a group of children playing, Sarah would reward him for staying calm, for looking to her for guidance, or for taking even a small step forward. These moments of encouragement helped Rusty build confidence. He learned that new experiences weren't something to fear, but opportunities for growth. Positive reinforcement not only taught Rusty specific behaviors, but it also built his trust in Sarah, reinforcing the idea that he could always look to her for guidance and reassurance. This approach helped Rusty reach his highest potential by fostering a positive attitude toward learning and by creating an environment where he felt empowered to explore the world without fear. Through positive reinforcement, Sarah helped Rusty see each challenge as a chance to succeed. She celebrated his progress, no matter how small, and this consistent encouragement allowed Rusty to develop a sense of pride and accomplishment. The more Rusty grew, the more he realized what he was capable of, and Sarah's leadership was the key to unlocking his potential. Building a lasting bond for a better quality of life. At its heart, compassionate leadership is about building a lasting bond with your dog. It is about showing them every day that they are loved, that they are safe, and that you will always be there to guide them. This bond is not something that can be forced. It is something that is nurtured over time through patience, presence, and a genuine commitment to your dog's well-being. For Sarah and Rusty, their journey together was one of mutual growth. Sarah learned to be more patient, more empathetic, and more present. She learned that true leadership was not about control, but about partnership. And Rusty, in turn, learned to trust Sarah completely. He knew that she would always be there to support him, to celebrate his successes, and to comfort him in times of fear. This bond was the foundation for Rusty's highest quality of life. By knowing that he could trust Sarah and by having clear guidance, Rusty was able to live without the constant burden of anxiety. He approached new experiences with curiosity rather than fear, and he felt secure in his environment. Compassionate leadership gave Rusty the freedom to thrive, to explore his potential, and to experience life to the fullest, embracing the journey. As you continue your journey with your dog, remember that leadership is not about dominance. It is about love, guidance, and support. It is about being the kind of person your dog can rely on, someone who creates a safe space for them to learn, grow, and thrive. Every moment you spend with your dog is an opportunity to build that bond, to deepen your connection, and to show them that they are not alone. Lead with compassion, walk with presence, play with joy, and rest with peace. These are the foundations of a happy, healthy relationship with your dog. A relationship that will bring you both countless moments of connection, comfort, and companionship. Sarah knew that her journey with Rusty would continue to evolve. There would be new challenges, new adventures, and new opportunities to learn from one another. But she also knew that no matter what lay ahead, she and Rusty would face it together, with patience, with understanding, and with a love that made every step of the journey worthwhile. Final reflections. The journey of building a meaningful connection with your dog is one that requires time, patience, and an open heart. It is about embracing each moment, finding joy in the simple things, and creating a bond that is rooted in trust and understanding. As you walk this path with your dog, remember that every challenge is an opportunity for growth, every quiet moment is a chance to connect, and every step forward is a testament to the love you share. Compassionate leadership is not just about guiding your dog. It is about helping them reach their highest potential and giving them the best quality of life possible. Lead with love and let your heart be your guide. This is the essence of compassionate leadership, and it is the key to a relationship with your dog that is full of joy, trust, and endless possibilities.